I'm not gonna lie though. I'm happy that the weather's breaking.
Yo, me too, bro.
Like, I was done with winter, my boy. Shoot, you know me. My favorite season is summer, so I'm done with winter as soon as I gotta put on a real jacket. Because I'm not gonna lie, part of the problem is also it takes me too long to make that transition. You know what I'm saying? Because in the fall you could get away with the hoodies, but when the real cold hit, you gotta put on a real jacket, and that transition always takes me way too long. Like it's only supposed to you're supposed to realize, okay, it's time to start wearing real jackets. I'll still be wearing hoodies for like a month. Like, yo, it's cold as hell outside.
You like 40 degrees, 30 degrees, 25 degrees.
I be drawing.
You ready to put 2 hoodies on instead of a coat?
Bro, I've done it. I've done it. I'm not ashamed to admit I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Hey, at least you're a tool in the shed.
Hey, look.
My tool not even in the shed, you mean?
He said, first time my tool not even in the shed. What's going on here? Let's get us started.
Father, forgive me, walking towards something more now. I've seen a lot of love, seen a lot that can break a man down. When I figure
One
it
day,
out,
Let's
when
go.
the glory comes,
Let's go. Welcome back to the Special Clause Talk podcast. That was just, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I like this track a lot. I low-key should have saved it to the sleeper.
Nah,
that was Father by Ray Khalil. Go check her out. Very talented. I really do like that song.
I'm ready to get my civil rights activist bag after hearing that joint. You know what I mean?
Soul Child / No Name /
Soul Child / we marching on Selma right now.
Meet me there.
Catch me on a Spirit flight to Tel Aviv. It's like,
Spirit flight to Tel Aviv is crazy.
Flight is crazy. Yo, that joint falling out the air like a paper airplane, bro.
Said march to Selma, lead a drama at home.
Yo, oh man.
The party promoter flyer for a march on Selma is nasty work.
Nasty work.
BYOB.
Yo, the things they do with Martin Luther King's legacy, bro.
The things that, Atlanta,
it's already bad enough he gets whitewashed in history books, but
bro, I know cat.
Are niggas making it any better?
I see somebody
putting a
with
fade on MLK with the earrings,
with the do-rag, crazy work.
Not too much on the do-rag. That was us. I
was like, shout out the early special cloth members.
Yeah,
had to be there for that.
Had to be there.
What's going on, folks? How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing good, bro. Solid week, working. Mm-hmm. Paycheck left as fast as it came. Know what I mean?
Who you telling?
Wedding season, full effect. So
for sure.
Shoo. I'm telling you, man, them wedding gifts cooking me right now,
bro.
I had to give a wedding gift, and I had to pay this personal trainer.
Dang.
Then I had to pay 2 of my credit cards. And the first is right around the corner.
What DJ Khaled say?
Another one.
Bro.
It's like those memes when you're just getting jumped by bills. It's like rent, car note, electric bill, internet, gas,
everything.
Food.
Everything
Fight back.
Frying my boy right now.
Nah, but hey, listen, man. I'll tell you one thing though, man. As long as the bills is paid and I'm getting laid, I'm feeling good.
Hey. He cooking.
You know what I mean? Bills is paid and I'm getting laid. Hey. We doing all right.
What else can I ask for?
What more can I say?
Do. Man, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Only a few people gonna get that. If you know, you know.
How you doing, Jay Green with the black shirt on today?
You know me, man. I'm just
Pastor Green,
chilling, bro.
He's in church all day, folks.
Bro, who you telling, gang?
He not on the payroll. He was on church all day.
Just in there. But nah, cool. You know, just working. You know, trying to stack that bread. You know, it's crazy. Even when I got like light work weeks, like technical, like for my main job, I still always find something else to do. Like I be like, bro, what's
Man,
wrong with
sit
me
your
some
ass
days?
down.
Bro, that's how I'm feeling.
That's
but
right.
In the same,
That's right.
bro.
Right, do you, mama?
In the same day, I be like, damn, I need this bread though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
But then I be like, bro, I ain't.
But does the bread need me?
That? Come on, let's talk about it. This time, what Chuck say? It's time to start a conversation. Like, it's time to start a conversation, man. But you know me, man. I just been chilling, working. A couple, you know what I'm saying, been watching these games. I don't even remember my Western Conference predictions.
I do.
What did I say?
You said the Nuggets was going to beat the T-Wolves last podcast.
The last podcast, they didn't already beat them by then?
Maybe they did. I don't know.
Because I definitely did have, I had the Nuggets winning the championship, so. Well, I say, it's no doubt I had them over the Wolves.
Takes agent like doo-doo.
Doo-doo. Bad. Right now, the Celtics is up 3-0 on the Pacers. It's over for them.
And the Mavs up 2-0.
Mavs up 2-0, and Luka hit this nasty game winner last night. You seen that, John?
Yeah.
Bro, fried the hell
He did
out.
the fat boy shuffle.
Bro,
Then you heard what he said to
the fat
Shaq
boy
and them?
shuffle is crazy. What'd he say?
He was just like, they were like, oh, how, what was going through your mind when you hit that shot or this and the third? Did you just try to hoop-de-hoop, whoop-de-whoop? Some shit Shaq said.
Yeah.
And then he goes, it depends on who's guarding me, this and the third. And then they was like, the defensive player of the year was guarding you. And he was just like, he's just like, he's taller than me. I'm not that fast, but I'm faster than him.
Hey, look, what we say? Hey, that's all that matters.
That's
I ain't
all that
fast,
matters.
but I'm faster than him.
Knowing me.
You know what they say. If I'm running from a bear in the forest, I ain't got to be faster than the bear. I just got to be faster than you. You know what I'm saying? Look, Luka, and then
one of us gonna be lunch, and it ain't me.
It ain't me. I'm out. It's sexy now. Did you see right after the shot though? He was yelling. He said, "Motherfucker, you can't guard me."
Yup.
Bro, he was talking greasy.
And he should have been.
I'm not even gonna lie, bro. I gotta admit something. I missed the game. Two parts because I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, this is actually a two-parter. I was at work, bro. Why did Neville from iCarly was at the wedding giving a speech? I guess the story was like he knew the bride or something like that.
Oh shit.
But I was like, I was looking at the bull I was working with. I was like, yo, bro, don't he look just like Neville from iCarly? And he was like, yeah, he do kind of look like him. Then he said it. I was like, dang, I must have been deep into the TV to like this is like 10 years.
But he got the same
later.
mitt, probably, I bet.
Nah, yo, bro got the same mitt. And bro low-key short as hell. Like, bro was like,
yeesh.
I don't know. He was like 5'5". I was like, dang. Like, bro, like,
There's some short kings going to jump into the comment.
Clear. Oh, I say my fault, dog. Short kings. But y'all niggas is short. Get over it.
Grow up.
Nah, see. I'm just keeping it a buck. Frank taking shots. But I missed it because I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I'm deep in the WNBA, bro. I was watching the WNBA game, bro. The Fever was playing. What's the Fever playing? The Fever was playing the Sparks. I was tapped in.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I've accepted it, bro. I done went and got myself a league pass. I watch all the games that come on. I'm just
trying to see what's up with a coordinated effort to be courtside.
Look, go Sky. I'm hype. Hey, look, I don't know if you've seen, they doing brunch tickets for the Mystics.
I have plans I can't describe to y'all because the haters will try to sabotage
The
me.
haters.
I have plans that I can't explain to y'all because the haters will try to sabotage
Oh my
me.
goodness, I have plans I cannot describe because the haters will talk to them, Fry.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. When y'all want to go courtside,
go Sky.
oh man,
That's all I gotta say. That's my WNBA squad. Shout out to Chicago Sky. But also, I'm not sure if you saw. Did you see that list that Apple put out?
Nah.
Top 100 albums of all time.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't see that?
Mm-mm.
Oh nah.
But I was playing the radio station that was based off of that.
A word.
But I didn't actually physically see the list.
Okay. What's it called? Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
Number 1.
I can see it.
I could see it, honestly.
I can see it.
I've listened to it out more than enough
Tell
times.
me who I have to be to get some reciprocity. That's where I first learned that word for no reason.
No reason.
7th grade talking about, I need some reciprocity, Dad.
I need some reciprocity, Dad is sick work. Yo.
Oh, man.
Nah, I'm not gonna lie. I love that album. I
He
think
said reciprocity your ass in that corner.
But what's called Thriller was number 2, which people were a lot of shocked that it wasn't number 1. I saw a lot of outrage about that, but I don't know. I just love the Miseducation.
Eminem, number 1.
Right.
Gucci Mane?
Gucci Mane.
Shout out my nigga Gucci.
That's how it be sometimes. But this episode we do have more of a centralized, focused, serious topic for all those who have not been tapped into. Huh?
I said we always do though, low key.
Low key.
Except the one episode we freestyled.
Bro, we had multiple episodes we freestyled.
Yeah,
that were just straight vibes.
Not this season though.
Nah.
We just got the one so far.
Nah, yeah. Last season, a lot of freestyle Fridays though. But
comedy style. This is the pod for Palestine. So we've been
if you haven't been tapped in, definitely want to really listen to this episode. Even if you really not that into politics and you just like, oh, it's whatever, it's just happening over there. I would definitely say, you know what I'm saying, just tap into this episode.
For sure. And then I'll also lead with this disclaimer, like, as much as this podcast strives for, being informative and also being entertaining, there's a lot of nuances and things to learn and discover about this situation.
For sure.
And, we encourage that, y'all just grow together with us in this and trying to be as informed as possible. I'm still working my way through literature. I've been reading The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine. And another book that was brought to my attention, too, that I just purchased not too long ago was One State, Two State, Resolving the Israeli-Palestine Conflict by Benny Morris. And Benny Morris is like one of this really respected Israeli historian who has like a lot of insight into the actual charters and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And I think it's pretty well respected on both the left and the right. Granted, he still definitely has his biases, which
of course
you will start to notice in reading that book, but I think that he does do pretty well giving some objective information throughout. So it's just you got to go in between to get as close to the truth as possible. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So just do the best you can. We're not starting at October 7th. We're starting 100 years in the past.
For sure. Way before this with the UN and all these different big conglomerates that have basically led to this situation.
Absolutely. And so, it's 100 years back. And then to understand Zionism more, too, you're going to have to go even further back than that. So it's a lot. And there's different versions of Zionism that we're going to go over. So that just to paint a real clear picture for y'all as best as we can, right? So first, I will say, though, when we're talking about both sides...
You ever said the DOD thing? DOD thing?
Oh, yeah, I should say that. You're right. Hold on 1 second.
Because mind you, Frank is a very, very important person. If you guys, guys don't know outside of here, with us, he just FKA Don Frizzy. But now outside of here,
but
he's
now it's crazy.
No, he's not playing.
Since 2016, real shit. But so I also have to give this disclaimer as well because I'm tapping into politics and military industrial complex stuff and all that rah-rah. So to start off, the views expressed are my own and not those of the DOD. My actions are my own and not endorsed, approved, or sponsored by the DOD. Now, I'm going to start off by saying this. When talking about both sides, the reach for an equivalent when there is none is fundamentally dishonest. So I want to say that, right? It's it's hard to really label this a war, in my opinion. I'm definitely more so leaning in the camp towards of more of apartheid kind of state. Now, it's not in the sense like it's South Africa, in the sense of like this is just because, you know what I mean? They're black, so we're doing this, or they're whatever, like just off the premise of race. But like to act like Israel isn't like a way more capable military, way more, financial backing and aid and strategic partnerships in comparison to Hamas, I just feel like is completely just dishonest. So I just have to say that. And by no means do I feel like we should even try to like entertain the idea that that any of this is really justified. Like, you can criticize the October 7th attack by Hamas, but also support Palestine.
For sure.
Also support that Israel has a right to exist as well. But it's like we can still criticize these things without just tossing out the label of anti-Semitism immediately.
And it's definitely been convoluted on purpose by the Israeli government and other Zionist political figures who like to convolute critiquing the sorry I'm missing the words right now, but critiquing the state and the actions of the Israeli government with attacking Jewish people, which is a very real problem in anti-Semitism. Like with all these things going on, let's not forget, like, anti-Semitism is still a real thing out there affecting Jewish people on a daily thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even with all this war, like let's not forget that there are different people going through struggles. Yeah,
absolutely. And damn, I just lost my take I just had in response to that. You're fine. Yeah, like this is like, I would venture to say this is easily the most far right regime that we've seen in the Israeli government, like, ever, right? And like, let's not act like Benjamin Netanyahu is like, he's not popular among Israeli people. Number one, he's insulated himself around a political ministry that is just basically subservient to his views, and he's trying to protect himself legally because Buddy's are shrouded in scandal and just like awful shit, and this is going back
every awful thing that's happening over there. He's had a hand.
He's kind of the poster child, and I gotta say, Philly. Yo, he lived in Philly for years, man.
He was right there, posted
up, man. So y'all gonna have to answer for BB.
Nah, that's crazy.
Y'all gonna have to answer for BB, bro.
Yeah, bro, make a Philly answer is crazy. If I say y'all want to shoot every block, but nah,
y'all gonna have to answer for BB, man. But nah, real talk. I don't know that anybody really wants him to be there. To be honest, like,
I mean, shoot, he's responsible for the things in their government. Shoot, he was responsible. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we had discussion. He's responsible for even Hamas even being elected, and like, you know what I'm saying, it being a very strong voice for the Palestinian people.
Yeah,
you know
so if I remember correctly, right, I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm pretty sure he financially backed Hamas in order to overtake the PLO, which I think stands for the Palestinian Liberation Organization.
I like the way that one sounds.
Hopefully, right. So I think that's what it was. So he's definitely had something to do with that as well. So, man.
I mean, but definitely,
he's a sick bull, bro. He's a sick bull.
If we want to give some context to all this going on, you know what I'm saying? And definitely, I know a large, you know what I'm saying, shout out to all of our fans, you know what I'm saying? But I know a large amount of our fans are definitely African Americans, you know what I'm saying, are black people. So I definitely want y'all to really understand what's going on over there because, while we do have, political figures such as, Dr. Umar, you know what I'm saying, who said, why should I care about Palestine when there's stuff going on in the Congo? And
which is an awful take, by the way.
It is, but in the same vein, I understand why people say stuff like that.
I understand it. It's just really ignorant.
It's definitely ignorant, but at the same time, like I get it because there's definitely anti-blackness mixed up with all that because the Congo, mind you, like the big thing, it's still going on. You know what I'm saying? With Ukraine,
right?
But the big thing, however long ago that was Ukraine. Congo was happening then.
Yeah.
Congo's happening now. And no point has Congo been a major conversation besides amongst people who are already aware of different, inhumane actions around the world. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you walk up to the average person, they wouldn't understand. But it's definitely still nonetheless an ignorant and bad take. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because you should care and make yourself knowledgeable and advocate for all people under oppressive governments and facing genocide. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like you don't take away from anybody by caring for more than one person. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
As a human, you have the capacity to care about more than one thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And it's like moral and political ineptitude to have that stance where you're just like reverse Martin Luther King, where an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. Like to just be like, oh, fuck them because this is not us type of thing, when that could very easily be us. It has been us and is us. And just like, you know what I mean? That's just like just goofy to me. So like I have a lot of problems with Dr. Umar. Yes, he's entertaining and a Hall of Fame level crash out and meme lord. Absolutely.
Have you on meme lord, yo, bro? Funny.
But there's so many better people to look towards for Pan-Africanist, Pan-Africanism. Like, you know what I mean? Like we have so many positive figures in that aspect that we could listen to instead of Dr. Umar. So I'm very weary of people that have that take. It's like, just educate yourself, bro. Like, arm yourself with actual information and vouch for people in the Congo, because that's what we need to, man. Because we getting this lithium, these cobalt mines. There was some implication from like Apple and other companies like that benefit from there, that were just found of like no wrongdoing in the case of the Congo, which we'll do a whole podcast about that. So,
definitely.
But yeah. So just to pivot back to Palestine in this conversation, again, like, stuff didn't start on October 7th. That's not where history started. That's not where history just it just woke up one day, and then this is how this whole thing.
Zach Fox has been saying free Palestine since 2019.
Facts.
Come on.
Facts.
There's no way it could have started October 7th. Come on, man. What are we talking about?
I wish we had the audio from the episode that we talked about it. So what did Palestine look like before 1948? Right. So before the British took over in Palestine, right, in 1917, they were ruled by the Ottoman Empire. Right. So they had been, after that, they went under years of being under British control. So basically like 30 years before there was like a mass immigration of Jews to Palestine, it was predominantly, it was completely like British controlled by Britain. And, you know, there was like tumultuous history during that time as well.
But who was the leader from Britain that said that they promised Israel basically a home, and they agreed to move in? I believe the cap was, my numbers might be wrong, but I believe it was 70,000 Jewish people, and they were going to cap it at that, but they were trying to move about 70,000 Jewish people into Palestine in about 4 years, I believe it was, or was it 40 years? It's either 4 or 40, which I know is a huge difference in numbers, but
Yeah. I'm not sure. I know the mandate came from the League of Nations that mandated that, but I'm not sure who in particular. We can talk about the actual legal, in air quote, doctrine about that, but I don't know off the dome ski what particular person was involved or not in that, but I just know that the League of Nations played a role in the Balfour. I probably butchered that. The Balfour Declaration,
yeah,
which the British just agreed to cede land in Palestine for the creation of a Jewish state. Because I mean, they were definitely pretty responsible in anti-Semitism at the time.
for sure.
So there were plenty of different considerations that played into the role for Britain to have to support Zionism. So and supporting the Zionist project. So it was kind of like essential for their strategy too in the area. So, but I'll circle back to what I was saying before with so like how. Sorry, bear with me, guys. There's like a lot of notes I got, and just trying
No,
to
for sure.
go through stuff.
This is definitely a heavy topic with a lot of different facts surrounding it. You know what I'm saying? But then I know originally I'm not sure if I don't. That's the thing. I know Frank has a set notes on when to jump ahead of anything he got going on.
Oh no, it's all good. Yeah, you're just trying to further the conversation. So I mean, that's what we need.
No, for sure. And then but then I know, the plan I'm talking about was set into action. Then unfortunately, one of the biggest, human. I don't even know how to describe it. One of the human catastrophes, disasters, and the Holocaust happened. Which affected millions of Jewish people, Black people. And anybody who wasn't of the Aryan nation. Was affected by that atrocity.
Yeah.
So I know the initial plan happened, and then boom, here goes World War II that pops off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why that's why I'm starting off with before 1948. And just starting off with 1917 when British took control, and then going from there. Because it's 100 years that we're gonna try to be working through, so it's kind of all that's gonna come into play. So, but yeah, so. Palestine was there before 1948, right? And there was about 30 years that Palestine had been under control in the form of an occupation, and then a mandate from the League of Nations was to rule in a country which the overwhelming majority of the population were Palestinian Arabs, and a small but increasing number were Jews, and more and more of those. And that population were made up of immigrants who were brought in under the terms of the mandate by the British occupied Palestine in 1917. Previously, like I said before, it was part of the Ottoman Empire, and during which they had the opportunity to elect their own mayors and deputies to the Ottoman Parliament. It was a country that had a developing and growing press, but it was still very poor. But education was spreading rapidly. Then the British arrived, and they had that project that was laid out, which what we already talked about, right? The paper, the Balfour Declaration. And the declaration was then incorporated into the mandate for Palestine that British was given by the League of Nations, basically to mandate a home for the Jewish people, yeah.
Yeah.
So, just to create a Jewish national home in Palestine. So, but there was no mention in the mandate or in the Balfour Declaration for the Palestinians except for offhanded ways as the non-Jewish population.
Yeah.
And that were 95% of the population of Palestine when the British occupied the country between 1917. So,
which is the insane thing about colonialism and especially the not the culture, but just kind of how countries moved back then, and even kind of how they move now, because even the USA still has territories and whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like
France has entered the chat too. You know.
you know what I'm saying? Like all these different countries was colonized, and you know what I'm saying? Like they bring in their own agendas and whatnot, but like the people are always still there.
And put last.
Yeah, and put last. It's like, bro, like you can't just like, I get that you just pulled up here, but you can't move everybody out the way and be like, this is nice for me now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's always been a problem of whether we're talking about America's history with the Native Americans or the indigenous people. You know what I'm saying? You talk about the Caribbean. You know what I'm saying? Like, though the way that these people are treated when like these superpowers come onto their land is just out of pocket.
Oh, absolutely.
Because how are we 95% of the population is just like, and the other guys, yeah, you know what? This will be your home. What? Bro, I live here. How you, what?
Crazy work.
Like, it's just nasty work.
And it's like, really let's make these documents, these charters, this legal, whatever, and make it lopsided.
Yeah.
So that you benefit the least.
What gives your piece of paper more power than the fact that my people have been here? Like, I've been here, dog. Like, what do you mean?
Well, me. So, yeah, so it had no mention in a mandate or in the Balfour Declaration of the Palestinians, except in an offhand way as the non-Jewish population that were, 94% of the population of Palestine when British occupied the country in 1917. By 1948, the Arab population was about 65%, and thanks to the immigration under the mandate, the Jewish population was almost a third. So the next question would be like, how did Zionism emerge, right? Zionism emerged and was always kind of centered on the Holy Land, and there was a consideration for other territories when the mass immigration and settlement of Jews from Europe. But there's a couple forms of Zionism, and I was really interested in learning about this because I really had like little next to no like knowledge about it, other than just like it's like a bad word right now kind of thing. But it's been around for a very long time, and there's different forms of Zionism. It's like cultural Zionism, religious Zionism, political Zionism, which is more of what we're seeing now.
Yeah, what's going on now. How I've historically known it is religious Zionism.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like with, all these different, you know what I'm saying? Shout out Jewish Boys Day. If you've been there, if you know, you know.
Shout out the Bible. Got plenty of it in there too.
For sure.
Yo, you bringing up Jewish Boys Day is hilarious, man, because man,
rest in peace.
I'll never forget. Rest in peace, Uncle Timmy, man. This man gonna try to blend in. No yarmulke, no nothing going on.
No nothing. Well,
like, why are you trying to break into Clemson?
Was Timmy tall?
He was probably like 5. Your height, probably like 5'10". Yeah,
okay, well,
5'11".
He was younger. Yeah.
And
5'10", big black guy.
Yep.
Light skin, trying to blend in with all these Jewish people with the yarmulkes, and like especially I think they were the Orthodox Jewish people.
Yeah.
So like
and they might have been from like PA or somewhere.
They were
like,
definitely from PA. They was they traveled in the on the buses. I remember we had this. If you worked at Clemson Park, you had to set up like these. What are they called? Canvases all around, like to block off any outside view. Like it was a lot of prepping for those. And Uncle Timmy, I don't know how he could, bro. Literally nobody else is allowed at the park during that day.
Oh, man.
No, I mean zero.
Right.
But the workers. I don't know how Uncle Timmy got in, but Uncle Timmy found he said if you got a will, you got a way, bro. We're just in the wave pool with Angel. Bro got banned from Clemson Park. They got him
up out of there.
Out of pocket.
They got Elohim up out of there.
Shout Uncle Timmy.
But yeah, so like each form of Zionism is kind of different in nature, and political Zionism starts at the end of the 19th century. And the person that's really credited with having the biggest role in establishing it was Theodore Herzl, who wrote a book entitled, I'm going to say this wrong, Duden or State of the Jews or the Jewish State, and who brought together the first Zionist Congress at Basel in Switzerland and I probably said that wrong too. In 1897, before the attachment of the Jewish people to the land of Israel. Well, before that, it had been the attachment to the land of Israel was a religious attachment, essentially, and with this political Zionism, it was, just more of them just trying to make that effort to, accelerate that process and establish it in like the legal means, right? And in the 19th century, cultural Zionism, not only among Jewish people but also Christians, had also believed that like evangelical Protestant, especially in the United Kingdom and the United States, believed that the return to the land of the Jews, the Holy Land, was an imperative for Christians due to reading of specific reading of the Bible. So Zionism originally politically looked at multiple possible venues for the creation of a Jewish state, and that the idea was persistent, and there was also like virulent anti-Semitism that Jews experienced, especially in Eastern Europe.
Man be word.
Right?
Be word.
Because if I remember correctly, Theodor Herzl was like an Ashkenazi Jew. So he was more from that Eastern Europe area. And like I said, it was just like a real pervasive, just like deep anti-Semitism in Eastern Europe at the time. Probably still is, honestly.
I'm sure.
Within the Russian Empire. And then, of course, the Austria-Hungarian Empire, that was basically like impossible for them to live in those societies, and that therefore, it was crucial for them to try to establish a Jewish state. And there were a variety of alternatives that were mooted in East Africa, in Syria, and in other places. But
when we talk about the Holy Land, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a big historical thing beyond Zionism. You know what I'm saying? We talk about way back in history. Talk about the Crusades.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things, like the Holy Land has been a thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I understand. I'm saying like their initial push to be like, okay, you know what? We want to get to the Holy Land. Like, we want to establish our home. But then, like we already said, there's already people there. Exactly.
And so basically, like you just said, like the consensus eventually centered on Palestine, and that became the objective, and kind of certainly was Herzl's originally. And but by the time that Britain was trying to like establish that as a thing, they're jumped into World War I. So it's like now World War I is the focus. So with the Balfour Declaration, that's when they basically agree to cede the land in Palestine for the creation of a Jewish state. And it was some kind of feeling of responsibility towards Jewish people because of the anti-Semitism that was in Britain.
Spoke about with,
and just like how much they could potentially benefit from Zionism strategically. So
for sure, definitely having the support of another state is never, basically of another country. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and especially like at a time that's superpower too, right?
Yeah.
So, they saw Palestine as essential to the defense of Egypt against any threat coming from the east, and that was a perception that started developing in 1906 before there was really any relationship with the Zionist movement. They also wanted to control in Palestine and Mediterranean region. So Britain already controlled the Suez Canal in Egypt and wanted to make sure that it could defend its position in Egypt, but also that it controlled the shortest land route on which they were at the stage of envisioning building a railway, later to pipeline roads, air bases were built along that stretch. Land that Britain took over from Palestine through Jordan into Iraq. So those were the British motivations, in addition to their great deal of sympathy among evangelicals.
For sure. And then speaking about, you know what I'm saying, like the things that they built over there, you know what I'm saying, and about how national it has become or is, you know what I'm saying, like, I'm not sure if people really know, you know what I'm saying, like, I just recently heard about it, you know what I'm saying, like, people talking about, you know, they send some U.S., you know what I'm saying, cops and things like that over to Israel to learn about different defense strategies and things like that, you know what I'm saying, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, they come over here to learn about, you know what I'm saying, different policing things and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So it has definitely been a relationship that even, you know what I'm saying, the U.S. has benefited from.
Oh, yeah,
and all
for
these different
sure.
things, you know what I'm saying? Like,
And we'll talk about that shift more, too, because of, you know, World War I and World War II, and, like, Britain's kind of separation from being the benefactor for like the creation of Israel as we know it today, because they were getting pushed back, you know what I mean, and they wanted to send troops from India over there, but they had growing sentiment more towards the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
Right. So they didn't think that they could really trust them to send them over there, and like I said, the World War I and II, their hands are full with just trying to like navigate through that whole process, right? Churchill and all them bulls, and
well, which is understandable, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's kind of unfortunate because then it leaves, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the Israeli state is allowed to just kind of just ruminate and like, well, okay, I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. Not that they shouldn't be allowed to their own devices and whatnot, you know what I'm saying?
Well, they weren't really.
But you know what I'm saying? But like the idea of like them really advocating and at least in their mind and like starting to execute like, yo, like, nah, this is the Israeli state. It's really starting to roll, especially after World War II.
Yeah. And it's, you know, we see the first Nakba, right, with just
Could you
like
clarify what that is for the people? Because I you know what I'm saying, me, I'm a well-educated black man. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to know what that is, but for some of our some of our fans out there, you know what I'm saying, if you could just explain to them what's going on, I'm sure they'd appreciate it.
So basically, it's basically a day where many were like dispossessed from their homes, lands, and livelihood as a result of the Israeli ethnic cleansing operations between the Arab-Israeli War between November 1947 and 1949.
Okay.
Basically, you know, that just like initial push after World War II and the Holocaust into the land. So that was, you know, from 1947 to 1949, and like I've even heard like multiple Nakbas being explained in the time, like even during the in 1967 with the illegal occupation of the Western Bank. That's also another thing that's considered a Nakba, because that's when we see like the IDF, you know, really coming into that territory of the Western Bank.
Yeah.
And I'm all on organized, but we've seen like them try to make right with like the Nakba in a sense of like that exodus from Gaza.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, with how ingratiated like Israeli people are into the Western Bank, I don't think it would be as easy as it was for Gaza for them to try to make that right with that occupation into the Western Bank, because it's just like so many people in there now. So it's like logistically it would be like a lot harder to do that, because now all those homes and stuff like that are going to be displaced and whatnot. But yeah, so basically like the Nakba is just like it just means like catastrophe or disaster, and it's in reference to the conflict.
Okay.
So, and like the literal meaning of it in Arabic is disaster. So, you'll see that in a lot of historical text. And you'll see it as like al Nakba. So, which is just like the catastrophe. So there was a mass exodus of at least 750,000 Arabs from Palestine.
Which is an insane number.
In that time period. Yeah, absolutely.
Like I know, like, you know, you think about people and it's like, these are like individual lives though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So when these things happen, like, they're important to happen. And mind you, while all these things are happening, the U.S. is still sending them aid. Britain still sending them aid. You know what I'm saying? Like they're being actively supported through this, which is why people say this did not start on
October 7th.
October 7th.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a continuous effort to push out the Palestinian people, and you know, something happened as a result of their active genocide and the pushing out of their people.
Yeah, and we're gonna try to stay away from like bringing it today and just keep talking about the past first, just to put it into more context, because I don't want to confuse nobody in the sense of like, because we'll describe what it's like today and just like talk about AIPAC, their influence on international politics, Joe Biden and his pool with Israel and like his vouching for them and stuff, and all of that as well, and just like the shift that we made. And like I also point out too about, I think, is it Henry Ford, I think, or not Henry Ford. That's the dude that made the cars.
Yeah.
Fuck. I think it's Harrison Ford.
Harrison. Right.
He was the president, right?
Yeah.
Damn,
Sure.
I gotta Google that shit because now I feel like a dumbass real quick. But I actually had seen a video of him. Damn, Harrison Ford's the actor. Damn, who the fuck?
Henry.
Who was?
Did Henry Ford make the cars?
I'm confusing myself now.
One of them niggas. Not gonna lie.
Honestly, yeah, this one. Man.
Gerald.
Henry, no, not Henry
Gerald
Harrison.
Ford.
Not Gerald Ford.
Who's Gerald Ford?
Henry Truman. Damn.
Oh, this nigga, I'm going on Ford. I'm like, yo, it gotta be a Ford. Truman, nah, I can rock with Truman.
Truman. God. I had actually seen a video of him actually recognizing Palestine as a as a state, as a country. Because I've definitely heard that narrative too, like, oh, they've never been recognized as a country, this, that, and the third. And I've heard like sentiments like what's going on right now is collateral damage and this, that, and the third. But I'm gonna link the video to where I've seen like Henry Ford actually talking about them as like a country and stuff like that.
Link different videos in the show notes.
Oh, absolutely. Because I've been kind of going off on tangents here. I'm trying to be as organized as possible, but it's tough.
Definitely, it's a lot going on historically now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is why we said we're gonna have multiple podcasts on this. We're gonna dive into the Congo. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just want to make sure that we're giving you guys as much information and trying to keep us, you know what I'm saying, and you guys informed on all that's going on around the world, because being an uninformed citizen is, I mean, it's kind of no excuse for it nowadays, because you literally have everything at your hand.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to do anything. Like, you could just throw on the audiobook. You could throw on the YouTube. Like,
yeah, the only difference is like you got to disseminate from like misinformation and kind of like address
the biases,
like where this is leaning from, and like, do a deep dive on shit, because it's a lot of information out there, but it's a lot of BS information too.
For
at
sure,
the same time.
but that's, you know what I'm saying, that's part of the fight, being a informed citizen. I mean, it's not just
he's like, Frank, stop trying to shoot him some bail.
Work, nigga.
Real
be
shit.
all right.
Yeah, so like Henry, so see, here I go with Henry again. Harry Truman.
Nigga loves some Henry. Yo, who's Henry?
Pause.
Yo?
Yo, you know who was named Henry that we know? Gentsy's cousin. TT.
Henry, true, Henry. Nah, yo, Henry. Wow, boy, yo, shout out Henry,
man.
yo.
Nah, but so Harry Truman is like key in all this stuff too, because he assumed the presidency after FDR died in 1945, and then he was reelected in 1948. So like things that he says in his thoughts about this process and stuff definitely matter, because he was the 33rd president, so I mean he was outside for all this and like was making some of these deals and like all this stuff. So he'll be a pivotal person eventually. We probably not gonna talk about him too much in this episode, but just little sidebar right there. So
Little sneak peek.
little moink. So dang, where was I at? Right. So anti-Semitism, ironically, the Balfour Declaration is kind of like associated with that in a way too, because the Balfour Declaration was made, I think, by a foreign secretary at the time in 1917, who had been the prime minister in 1905 when the British Parliament passed the Alien Exclusion Act, which was designed to keep Jewish refugees from fleeing persecution and persecution from the Russian Empire from entering Britain. So the same man who passed that Alien Exclusion Act, which was designed to keep Jewish refugees from fleeing, also made the Balfour Declaration. And his name is associated with the Cabinet of Declaration of 1917, and was probably the author of one of the most anti-Semitic acts in British history. So, turns out I did know who the author of the...
Who was it again?
It was the foreign secretary of... Damn, I just saw it. It was the foreign secretary in 1917, but he was the prime minister in 1905.
Okay. Yeah, bro, been wilding out in history.
And then going right back to the expulsion of the Jews from England in the 12th century. So there were like a lot of motives basically to say that British support was for Zionism, and the idea, in the words of one British official to Jerusalem, was to create a little loyal Jewish Ulster in a sea of hostile Arabs. So that was like their intention behind that there. Described as like a Jewish national home, that this Jewish national home would serve its purpose as well as giving Britain control in the area to the east of Egypt, and that it was the shortest on the shortest land route between the Mediterranean and the Gulf. So you've got the Balfour Declaration to thank for that. So now let's get into Zionist resistance to Britain. So where am I at? So there was an encouragement of Jewish immigration to the land of Palestine. Then something starts happening in the late 1930s and 40s, where you've got Jewish armed militias fighting the British Army, and it kind of seems like stuff kind of got topsy-turvy a little bit, because during the Mandate, the Palestinian Arabs tried all kinds of means to object the Balfour Declaration, as they should have, in the terms of the Mandate, which basically denied their very existence. There was no possibility for self-determination for the Palestinian people because of that, right? So Arabs, which charter the Covenant of the League of Nations, provided a provisionally independent nation, and the Palestinians said, like other provisionally independent nations under the Mandate, like Syria, like Lebanon, like Jordan, like Iraq, we demand our independence. And the British said no. The League of Nations has said we're to establish a Jewish national home here, and says nothing about you. You don't exist in terms of the Mandate. which is true. Palestinian Arabs are not mentioned in the mandate. 7 or 8 of the articles of the mandate are devoted to explaining how Britain is supposed to establish the Jewish national home. So the Palestinians rose up eventually against Britain, and the most serious rising was in the late 1930s. It was so serious that the British lost control of much of the country, and they weren't able to send reserves. And this is like what I was talking about earlier, with them trying to get Indian troops to do it.
Yeah.
In part, more of their troops were supposed to bolster their security forces, because this was the period that Hitler's basically taken over Austria. It was a period of the Sudan land crisis, and Britain had to hold its own troops in the reserves.
Yeah.
So they couldn't send Indian troops because they were not sure how they would try to suppress the Arab. Like, if they would actually try to suppress the Arabs, they were afraid that they had sympathy for the Arabs and that they would not perform. So until the crisis in Europe was over, the British were unable to control the country.
They just had to let them go. Like,
yeah, basically. So, but to get that control, they just tried savage means to do however, until they were finally were finally able to get more troops in that end. Over 100,000 troops, by the way, from the British Royal Air Force and the Navy, that were all engaged in suppressing the Palestinians, and this caused enormous suffering to the Palestinians. The British would blow up homes. The British would execute prisoners. The British would put thousands of people in concentration camps and huge barbed wire.
insane.
And open air concentration camps where they killed and wounded, exiled, or imprisoned something like 16 or 17% of the adult male population in Palestine. And this was such a serious burden for the British that they eventually shifted their policies via Zionism at the end of the 1930s, which basically limited their commitments to the Zionists. Naturally, the Zionist movement was outraged by this, and this was the beginning of terrorism against the British by these militias, which is the main Zionist militia. All of these especially have been trained by the British to help put the Palestinians down, and now they turned against the British as their line movement pivoted away from Britain, which they realized had imperial obligations that led it to abandon the Zionist cabinet. British cabinet decided World War II is about to begin, so they weren't worried about it. And the loyal subjects in India who were very pro-Palestine, the Secretary of State for India writes to the cabinet and says that there is a Indian problem now, and they were worried that the Arab countries, about the Arab countries where there were great sympathy for the Palestinians as the British were repressing and bombing them and shooting prisoners and so forth, like just basically doing all the atrocities I just described. So they knew they would have to fight in World War II. So in the Arab countries on the southern and eastern shores of the Mediterranean, so their policy shifted. I just said that already. Geesh. So the Zionist movement turns against Britain and finds new patrons in the United States. So now we'll talk about Britain's chaotic withdrawal from Palestine. They withdrew in 1947, 1948 to preserve the peace between the Jews and Palestinians in the land of Palestine. But it was like a chaotic withdrawal. So from the territory in the sense of sorry, I lost my train of thought. It was a chaotic withdrawal by the British when they decided to leave. These attacks on British troops by the Zionist militias, the British eventually decided to abandon Palestine. And now this becomes a United Nations problem in 1947, right? So
They did all that and then took the hand off. Was like, oh, we don't have nothing to do with that.
On me. So they plan to withdraw on May 15th, 1948, and problem to the UN in 1947. And the UN votes to partition Palestine, giving most of the country to the Jewish minority.
Insane.
Of under 35% of Palestinians were to get most of the country to the Jewish minority of under 35% Palestinians were to get an Arab state, which was never allowed to come into being incidentally in less than half of the country in which they were an overwhelming majority. And naturally, they found this unjust. And
Which it was.
By this stage, the British by this stage were fed up with both sides, and they had fought the Palestinians for 3 years. In the 30s, they had fought the Zionists for a couple of years after World War II, and they just had abandoned Palestine and did so in a pretty chaotic manner.
Definitely.
And decided to leave India. And so Palestine, as you know, a land bridge between the Mediterranean and the Gulf as a shield for defense of Egypt, from the east becoming less important to the imperial strategists. So they leave behind total chaos. The Nakba, by which the mass displacement of hundreds of thousands of people, of Arab people.
Yeah, and that's just part one of this whole you know what I'm saying, fiasco situation, colonization, however you want to describe it. You know what I'm saying?
How long are we into it so far?
Way too long.
Way too long? Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was just part one of this extremely sensitive and nuanced topic like we already spoke about. Definitely, I want to say thank you for tuning in on this.
Or tuning out, because that was a lot of information.
Yeah.
Corny joke there, but yeah.
Definitely make sure, you know, like I said, we're going to put a lot of it on the show notes. So make sure, you know what I'm saying, you're doing your own independent research, seeing what's going on around and out there. Make sure you're ciphering out all the BS. You know what I'm saying? Like,
facts.
I know what's bro. It's gonna be hard. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta do research. Like Frank said, you know what I'm saying? If you look on both sides, the truth is somewhere in between.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So definitely make sure you're doing research on both sides, just seeing what they're saying, and see what makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Look towards
and talk,
people.
Hey, talk to people,
yeah.
man. You could talk to some Palestinian people, some Israeli folks.
Look to people who you trust politically. Be like,
some
rabbis,
rabbis,
like their views.
some Orthodox Jews, you know, some Holocaust survivors. You know, social media really shrinks the world, you know, so it gives us a lot of access to people in ways we could never imagine. Unfortunately, nobody emailed me back because otherwise I would have had somebody more familiar with this information in an organized way to present this stuff to you guys, other than, you know, me reading a transcript basically to try to describe a lot of this information. And we still only ended up in 1950, but I'd call it a good episode from going from 1917 to 1950.
Definitely. A lot of information.
So
I'm gonna play Frank's Sleeper. It's called MTV Steez by Cookin' Soul.
Go well out here. It's another team. The bed kinda scruffy, so I refuse to cut it clean. It's dark chocolate, but it's colored green. 40 ounces, red lipstick, and yellow submarines. We redlining like tape ups. Them lady cops that flash your headlights like 8 cups. And Kirk said them hipster girls going wild, so I'm proud to say we sending shirts out of style. 70K in my inbox filled up. Firewalls, I got my empire all built up. I know Rome wasn't built in the day. I live where I lay. Roman Rolling Stone, it begins with the A. Nomadic, known as the flow addict. Be buzzing in your ear like headphones static. Attack of the clones like drones crash landed. So I know we ain't alone on this planet.
people have been throwing this label on us that, oh, we're 90s rappers. This is not the 90s. We're not 90s rappers. This is the music that we have playing in our head and we went and we got done. Like, this is just our music. It's not 90s music. I mean, it could be 90s influence, but it's 2012, you know? So just don't throw that label on us.
I just got computer back like yesterday, so I haven't been on the internet and none of that. I don't really follow it. So, okay. Like, I don't do that.
Yes, sir. Shout out MTV. Shout out Cooking Soul.
Cooking Soul. Sock it to me. For those that's fans to Larry June, you already know about Cooking Soul. So that was MTV Steez. You know my Steez. They wasn't outside for that. My bad.
They wasn't out. They wasn't. I'm they. But I'm about to play Call on You, Baby Tron. Shout out Detroit.
Yeah.
RJ always tripping, man. RJ always tripping, man.
You wasn't there when I called on you. So now I got a ball on you. Nike tech full of shit, watch me jog on you. The bag in the air, gotta do the moss on you. Ran off with the bag, now the Hawks on you. Told my side bitch like my bitch will put the paws on you. Gang full of hellhounds, put my dogs on you. Javinci T, Euro step, pin the sauce on you. Off the runs feel like Darth Vader. You better tuck the white hoes before art take. Seen dog at the function, had his heart race. If I see the ops like my hair, I start banging. 3-some with 2 dimes, yeah, I'm big turn. Let me find out you smoke tails till your lips burn. Ran it up hard as fuck, they need to switch turf. God forgive me all them fraud trips, I skip church. This 100 rounder, who this bitch gon' hit first? 28 Amiri stuff with salad on my hips hurt. Slam dunky, yo freak, this a big vert. You see that chip reader, take a card and insert. I don't serve fiends, bitch, I'm eating off of apple bricks. You need a big ass hat, Colin Kaepernick. I think your bitch wanna fuck cause I'm talented. I think Stan got an aim, but that boy accurate. Punch guy, yes, I'm immaculate. Little bitch playing with my balls like she practicing. When it's beef, you duck on some baffy shit. I had the Glock choke slam, you I ain't grappling. In outer space, got a deuce in my movements. Dusty ass boy threw his ass a broomstick. Ran through 6 toothpicks at Roof Creek. Turned the blue strip to it, I got the blueprint. Chili Mo, I got every tech known to man.
Shout out Tron, SBS. Wait, my fault. Oh, I almost messed it up crazy. SBDSM.
Fired.
For real, Nah, but shout out Detroit, though. They got the sound right now. Appreciate anybody still tapped in at 1 hour and 8 minutes. Much love to you.
For real. Drop money bags in the comment.
For real.
Jay Green with the green polo on, even though he's wearing a black shirt today.
You know what it is. It's always us. Peace, love, positivity.
Shalom. Got to throw that in there at the end, too, now. After this episode.